Hey guys, another video here. I'm gonna quickly walk you through the seedballing process. I learned this from the book One Straw Revolution, Masanobu Fukuoka. So how I do this, worm castings that have been sifted. Take about 1 scoop of worm castings. Right now I'm seedballing white Dutch clover. So about a handful of white Dutch clover. Mix that up and pour it into the drum. The seedballing machine is a repurposed treadmill. Here you can see the belt for the treadmill and a 55-gallon drum, steel drum with 4 casters. There's a bit of a trick to aligning this, and what I found the best way to do it is to align the casters on the outside of the drum's rib. So this set of casters is on the outside of the top rib, and that caster is on the outside, if you can see that there. Okay, so the tension for the belt is adjusted at the back by way of these bolts, and the belt it's not super tight, it's not loose either. There's a tuning required, a tuning to get this to spin properly. So I'll just show you how it starts spinning. I got the controllers all set up there. Okay, so you can see that. So then I made this a lid. I gotta turn it off. So there's a lid made from drainage pipe. You see there? That is going to contain the contents there. Now what I'll do is I'll start it up and explain how I do this. But what I have is a misting bottle. The best way to do it is to have a backpack mister. And what I'm going to do is mist this combination of seed and soil until it gets to what I call the granola stage. So I'll do that right now. There you can see the dried contents. Got my mister. So what I do is mist this just enough to get the seed and soil to start balling up. The amount of water is important. Not too much, not too little. Keep it in the Goldilocks zone. Sorry about that. Okay, so now you can see, looks like the fuse went out. Okay, so now you can see I've added just enough water to get the seeds and the soil to start to ball up. Now, the third ingredient is fine terracotta, and the ratios you use are 3 part soil, 3 part terracotta, 2 part soil, and 1 part seed. So what I do is I add the terracotta and mist, alternating the two. So what happens here is by adding the terracotta, the little balls of seed and soil start to get an outer coating. Okay, see? So now I'll mist. Okay, mist it. So alternate between misting and terracotta. This is like flour. So basically we're making a little seed gnocchi. There's something wrong with my machine. Okay, now you can see the seed ball is beginning to form, and this is where you alternate between adding the terracotta and misting, adding just the right amount of water to create the balls. Again, the ratio is 3 parts clay, 2 parts soil, 1 part seed. But you can experiment reason I do this is one, so the birds don't get the seeds or the squirrels. Two, so that I don't have to till. This is a form of soft farming, meaning I start with clover covers and plant into the cover rather than turning the soil over. Should wear a mask when you do this. I'm not wearing a mask right now, but the breeze is nice, and sometimes I just mist to keep the dust down. So there you can see. Come back in a few minutes. It's the final product. Here you can see in the garden, I've thrown these seed balls down. So basically what you're doing is creating a little microclimate for the seed to germinate in without having to physically plant it. All you do is throw these, but you can use your imagination. I mean, you could launch these things from a cannon into a field. So the seed is encapsulated by worm castings in a hard clay shell, which once watered, the water will move from the outside to the inside and create a perfect germination zone for the seeds. So later on I'll come out in a few days and show you the germination. Here you got some clover, lots of mustard coming up naturally from last year. Even looks like a little sunflower there, just coming up naturally from last year. Okay, I'm about 15 minutes into the process, 15 or 20 minutes. And that's the product. So I'm going to play them once more. There's a distinctive sound when they're done. You can hear them. So once these are fully formed, I let them dry in the sun and throw them into the field. So these seed balls are ready to harvest. Another interesting point with regards to this method is you can apply the South Pole exposure of a magnet to the seeds, you know, just by putting the magnets on the drum with the South Pole. So this is another little trick. You can also use high-grade spring water when watering the seeds. Okay, so I'm gonna harvest these. So there's the end product. The better you get at this, the more consistent the size is. But these are just clover, so I don't want them to be super big. This batch, they could go longer. The longer they tumble, the more round they become. So this is my third or fourth batch this year, so I get better as I go. So there's the seed ball. I'll just break it open and you can see inside. You have the seeds. You get a few seeds in one bowl and then an outer coating. I'll break up another one. There, so I'm gonna harvest these. Another point, there's all harvested. Another point regarding the seed balling machine, the function of misting, this could really be integrated into the drum. I don't entirely know how I would do it, but really you could lengthen this drum, have multiple drums tumbling in line on a slope in such a way that the seed, the soil, and the clay are dosed, and as they tumble along a very slight gradient, the seed balls develop, and then at the end you'd catch them in a net. You could use like one of these drainage pipes. You see there, I have this drainage pipe, That's a 14-inch by 20-foot long. Imagine you tumbled the drainage pipe and you had stages where the seed goes in, the soil goes in, misting takes place, clay is added, and you have stages within the drum or within that pipe. And at the end product would be the tumbled, fully coated with clay seed ball. Another thing you can do with this, this method, wax, steel drum. Imagine you could slightly heat the drum up, coat it in wax, and then add your seeds. And in a way, what you do is what Schauberger described as the extreme unction, where you lightly coat the seeds in a thin layer of wax. So I have yet to actually experiment with this, but one day I'll do that. Okay, so I just pour the seeds out into the sun on a sheet in the sun, let them dry out. Okay, so I'm going to briefly explain something here. So you imagine you have a cover crop of clover. When you drop your seed ball, the main precondition is that the seed ball makes contact with the ground. This is the main precondition. It has to make good contact with the ground. What happens is when the clay gets moist and the seed begins to germinate within the ball, it throws out an extra long first root to anchor the seed ball into the soil. And this extra long first root makes for a much stronger plant overall. So I think the idea Fukuoka had was he had always had a cover crop of clover, and what he would do is, now imagine this is a buckwheat seed ball and you want to plant a crop of buckwheat. What you would do is maintain the height of the clover, so you'd scythe this and then you'd let it grow up just a little bit, and then you'd throw in your crop of buckwheat. And what happens is the understory of clover is going to create a nice disbursement of light on the seed ball and give it a nice sort of a nursery atmosphere, germination zone. And the idea is that the clover cover crop is going to snuff out most of the weeds and give that nice germination zone for the crop. So in Fukuoka's case, it was rice. I'm going to plant buckwheat. So just a little explanation there.